Motivated by saving lives and making communities more resilient, today, OneConcern is setting new standards for how emergency operations centers operate before, during, and after a disaster. What if we had a complete view of disaster impact down to the block level? Not after weeks, not after days, not within hours, but within 15 minutes. In the world of emergency response operations, life isn't counted in days, hours, or even minutes. Seconds matter. Historically, environmental disasters require our first responders to fight the good fight against all odds. Without hesitation, they place their lives at risk to save ours. With Seismic Concern, OneConcern's powerful yet intuitive earthquake intelligence platform, emergency operations centers can train for disasters more effectively and respond smarter and quicker during an earthquake. And this is just the beginning. OneConcern is building a future in which data helps jurisdictions build resilient cities and be better prepared for all natural disasters. In August 2014, Stanford engineer Amit Wani survived a traumatic flood in Kashmir, India. Days later, Amit returned to Stanford University, thinking about the lack of data-driven technology in disaster response. The same day Amit reached Stanford, he realized there had been an earthquake in Napa Valley. The earthquake's force shook buildings until their brick facades crumbled to the ground.
This earthquake was, very unexpected. We didn't even know that fault exists. Now, the first responders actually took several days to go to every person who had called in the first 3 minutes, and they do it on a first-come, first-served basis. And then I started connecting dots back to Kashmir, wherein I realized that, hey, this was the similar problem in Kashmir, wherein they didn't really have a way to prioritize response using some data or science. I realized that this is a problem across geographies and across hazards. That is what led to us starting a research at Stanford. Basically an interdisciplinary research in earthquake engineering and computer science, basically devising algorithms which could ingest insane amounts of data with regard to every tiny bit of feature of every building, soil, shaking, and finally be able to predict whose house is in what level of damage in the whole city within minutes after an earthquake, so that response is carried out to people who actually have damage rather than people who are asking for help, because that may not be correlated. We try to train our algorithms just like an autonomous car is basically trained to behave once it is left autonomous. So basically a person is driving the autonomous car. Once there's a stop sign, you stop it. So it detects, hey, there was a stop sign, and that's when the person stopped the car. So next time it will stop automatically once it detects that. Similarly, we train our algorithms using the artificial intelligence technology on basically data points of how this building or similar buildings around it have behaved in the past, and basically then use those data points to inform our models. With each data point, there is a ripple which constantly enriches the whole net. So our algorithm gains accuracy north of 90 to 95% within the first few hours.
What began as a research project grew into a mission to revolutionize emergency operations centers, not just in California, not just in the United States, but in the world. You see, in emergency response, it is life or death, and seconds matter. So, it was at the juncture of the Kashmir, India flood and the California Napa earthquake that Amit Wani joined Stanford computer scientist Nicole Hu and earthquake expert Tim Frank to apply data science and machine learning to aid disaster response. In a calling to serve society, these three Stanford researchers became the founders of OneConcern in May 2015.
I think I was a problem solver from day one. I never intended to become an entrepreneur.
OneConcern's vision was to put the entirety of actual damage results following a disaster event into the hands of capable EOC personnel and first responders, not in weeks nor months, rather within 15 minutes after a disaster event. This vision is now a reality.
I don't think we thought of it as a company as such. Initially, we were like, this is a really important problem. We want to solve it. It's a very difficult problem, something which hasn't solved before, and it's going to be challenging. After 1 year later, here we are. I think it is really a company which can actually affect the world in a really big way. In many ways, one, because technologically it's a very challenging problem. Socially, it can impact so many different people in so many different ways.